We request the Secretary, Ministry of INB and Chairman IIMC, Shri Bimal Julka, to welcome the Honorable Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Shri Arun Jaitley, with applause. May I now request DG IIMC, Shri Suneet Tandon, to welcome Secretary, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting and Chairman IIMC, Shri Bimal Julka, with a bouquet. I would now request Shashwati Goswami, Associate Professor, to welcome Chairman of the Broadcasting Content Complaints Council, Shri Mukul Mudgal. I request the DG again to welcome Additional Secretary in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Shri J.S. Mathur. I request Shashwati to welcome the Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Shri Mihir Kumar Singh. May I now request the DG IIMC to deliver his welcome address and take over the dais.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dahiya. Honourable Minister for Finance, Corporate Affairs and Information and Broadcasting, Shri Arun Jaitley, respected Secretary, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting and Chairman, Indian Institute of Mass Communication, Shri Bimal Julka, respected Justice Mukul Mudgal, Chairman, Broadcasting Content Complaints Council, Additional Secretary in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Shri J.S. Mathur, Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Shri Mihir Kumar Singh, Senior Officers of the Ministry of INB and of other departments, Heads of Media Units, distinguished participants and guests, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. It is a signal honor and a privilege to be able to welcome this distinguished gathering to this seminar that has been organized on behalf of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting by the Indian Institute of Mass Communication, which is being held to consider important issues concerning media and communication education in the country and the possibility of establishing a communication university, an idea which has been voiced in some quarters. This seminar is the first such consultation aimed at providing a platform for a cross-section of stakeholders to deliberate upon the future of media and communication education in a holistic manner, given the challenges that are emerging due to rapid technological changes, the impressive growth that is being registered by the sector, and the paradigm shifts that are taking place in the brave new digital world. The seminar has been divided into 3 sessions, the first being on the status of media and communication education in India, emerging issues, gaps, and challenges. The second on the need for introducing new and advanced courses, and the third on a roadmap for a communication university. I would like to welcome the Honourable Minister, Shri Arun Jaitley, and to express our deep and sincere gratitude to him for contributing his extremely valuable time to inaugurate this seminar and to share his valuable insights on the subject matter. His sage and wise counsel in all matters is a source of inspiration for all of us. Sir, we are looking forward indeed to hearing your views in the context of this seminar. A warm welcome too to the Secretary, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting and Chairman IIMC, Shri Bimal Julka. I am most grateful for the invaluable support and guidance that we have always received from him in all matters, and especially in the organization of this seminar. I am delighted to welcome Justice Mukul Mudgal, Chairman of the Broadcasting Content Complaints Council and former Chief Justice of the Punjab and Haryana High Court, who readily agreed to participate this morning. It is also a pleasure to welcome Shri J.S. Mathur, Additional Secretary, and Shri Mihir Kumar Singh, Joint Secretary, the heads of media units, as well as other senior officers of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting and its media units who have provided much support and encouragement. It is a privilege to welcome all our distinguished participants, senior journalists and practitioners, academicians from various universities, institutions and organizations, apex bodies and other important stakeholders who so readily agreed to participate in this seminar and share their views in the light of their wealth of experience. I would like to thank especially the Press Information Bureau and its officers and staff for their unstinting cooperation in making available this venue for the seminar and in providing great support in making all arrangements. I must express my sincere thanks also to the entire team of IIMC, the Executive Council members, members of the IIMC Society, faculty, officers and staff who have all contributed greatly in the organization of this seminar. We have a long day of discussions ahead and many issues of vital importance to all of us who are stakeholders in media and communication education and in the industry itself to deliberate upon. I am confident that all distinguished participants would share their views and concerns in a free and frank manner, and that these deliberations will help to evolve some pointers to the way forward. Thank you very much. May I now request the Secretary, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting and Chairman IMC, Shri Bimal Julka, to deliver his address.
Honorable Minister for Finance, Corporate Affairs, Information and Broadcasting, Shri Arun Jaitley ji. Honorable Justice Mukul Mudgil, Chairman of the Broadcasting Content Complaints Council. All our distinguished academics, participants, my colleagues from the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, all our media units of the INB Ministry, respected representatives from the media, ladies and gentlemen. We are indeed grateful to Honorable Minister for having consented to inaugurate this seminar. We have been in discussion about this seminar for a long time, but we were waiting for the time from Honorable Minister, who understands the whole concept very comprehensively, and we thought his presence will give us direction, meaning and purpose to this whole exercise. We are aware that the India media and entertainment industry is one of the most exciting industries of the world. The Indian media landscape presents a very vibrant picture. There are approximately more than 800 TV channels today, 245 private FM channels, 35 channels of the Doordarshan, several FM radio stations of the All India Radio, 180 community radio stations, and more than 10,000 newspapers. Approximately the size of the publications is increasing day by day, and it's about 100,000 odd publications in the country. With the proposed auctions of FM radio phase 3, we will definitely have 135 channels to begin with, maybe in a month's time, and then we'll have another 800 odd channels. So the whole gamut of the radio broadcasting sector would have roughly of channels of the order of about 1,200 odd capacity. As per the latest reports of the media and entertainment sector, this whole sector is going to grow at the rate of about 14% CAGR, compounded annual growth rate, during the period 13 to 19. You are all aware that the communication sector continues to experience remarkable changes, fueled by innovations in technology and service delivery. The ever-expanding digital world touches nearly all aspects of our modern lives. Some of the technological advancements that have impacted the communication sector are smartphones, 3G, 4G technologies, tablets, video on demand, and 3D technologies. Convergence between entertainment, information, telecommunication are clearly leading to an era in which the overall media and entertainment industry will further undergo a rapid change. What does a consumer want today? Consumer wants more flexibility in consumption of content, not only in terms of when he wants to see, but also where he wants to see and the devices on which he wants to see. The viewer is no longer satisfied with remaining a passive viewer and wants his thoughts and creativity to be shared with the world. In today's world, content is the king, and better content at affordable prices will ensure that who survives in the market in the years to come. The access of online service would become vital for socio-economic existence. We are all aware about this. In these days of emerging convergence, the print media is rapidly embracing new technology, progressively utilizing e-services by launching e-versions of their print newspapers, magazines, and directories. The television industry is in the midst of technological and economic change. Audiences are becoming increasingly fragmented across regions and growing range of delivery platforms. As you will all agree that the social media has brought about a paradigm shift in the communication sector, and our Honorable Prime Minister has ensured that all ministries and departments of the government and all ministers, all secretaries are also in some form or the other are associated with the social media. FM and community radios have been effective mediums for promoting grassroots democracy by airing local issues. In this fast-changing, constantly evolving and dynamic communication sector, there is an urgent need to have a close look at how we wish to equip the coming generations to meet these complex challenges. There will be an increasing need for professionals who can transcend the traditional boundaries between the media of print, broadcasting, audiovisual and digital platforms. Media and communication education needs to address issues related to journalistic ethical conduct within the context of a firm commitment to freedom of speech and expression. Another important aspect to be borne in mind is on the issue of content regulation within the framework of program and advertising codes. It is neither possible nor desirable for the governments to monitor and regulate the volume and diversity of content available today. We have so far believed that the best guarantee for ensuring that the media lives up to high ethical and professional standards is a strong system of voluntary self-regulation. Initiatives taken by News Broadcasters Standards Authority and Broadcasting Content Complaints Council and many such organizations have raised the level of trust and confidence in media. Media education should also address the ills impacting the ethics of profession of journalism, such as yellow journalism, tendency to sensationalize, and also issues concerning paid news. The Ministry of INB, as you are aware, has established 3 centers of excellence: the Indian Institute of Mass Communication, basically which looks and focuses on print, radio and TV journalism, advertising and public relations, and development communication, while the Film and Television Institute of India at Pune and Kolkata, they focus on various aspects of film and TV, such as direction, production, editing, script writing, audiography, cinematography, etc. But these institutions are not empowered to grant degrees at the moment, so they are only giving the diplomas. There are also several fields such as animation, gaming, information science and technology, as well as engineering, management, law, economics, science, with reference to communication processes and organizations, for which courses are either not available in the country or are available in a scattered manner without sufficient depth or a suitably interdisciplinary approach. There has been a demand for establishment of a communication university at par with the best international standards, with provisions for regular degree program, format courses in a multiplicity of disciplines to meet our future communication needs. We need to have a broad consensus on the need and scope for such a university. We need your considered views if establishing the communication university would serve the purpose, or if upgrading the existing specialized institutions might be the desirable way forward. Whether such an institution would be best located in the government sector or the private sector, or indeed a public-private partnership, is also an issue which needs to be discussed and debated. An approach to establishing a communication university would have to be evolved after taking into consideration the best international models that are available, as well as considering the Indian media and communication environment in consultation with the stakeholders. Such an apex institution could take the lead in setting standards and providing cutting-edge education and training across the entire spectrum of disciplines to meet the requirements of new communication landscape. The prime objective, ladies and gentlemen, of this seminar is to consult all the stakeholders for their views on the possibility of establishing such an overarching communication university in the country. Your contributions are extremely valuable to us to take this process forward. Given the large number and diversity of stakeholders across the country, we may need to hold further discussions on the subject if necessary. I would like to thank all our distinguished participants for having kindly agreed to spare their valuable time to discuss and deliberate on this important subject that's of great potential importance to all of us engaged in the field of information, media and communication. I am extremely grateful to Honourable Minister for making available his extremely busy, time out of his extremely busy schedule to give us the lead on the subject by sharing his thoughts. We look forward to a very constructive and rewarding discussions today. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much indeed, sir. May I request now Justice Mukul Mudgal, Chairman, Broadcasting Content Complaints Council, to kindly deliver his address.
I'll address from here. Honorable Mr. Arun Jaitley ji, other distinguished persons present. Nothing underlines the requirement of balanced reporting than the recent incident of the policeman who was summarily dismissed for throwing a brick at a scooter rider. The concept of breaking news, unfortunately, does not let it look at the other side of the picture. And we had sensationalism on the first day. Unfortunately, the whole picture was not presented. Today it has come out. And this is, therefore, underscores the need for an informed reporting, a balanced reporting. And in the light of that, I would think that it's absolutely necessary that we have an institution in the line of something like IIT, IIM, National School of Drama, and where students right out of school are taken in and given degrees. And since we are having this debate, I think it's a wonderful occasion for all the experts in the field to give in their inputs and how it should be done. As far as the private participation is concerned, I do think that the kind of control which the government has on IITs and IIMs, minimal control, but it must be there. I don't think this should be given to the private sector in toto. And I would hope that all your experts' thoughts would be taken into account. I had only to make a brief intervention, and I have done so. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, sir. And may I now request our Honourable Minister, Shri Arun Jaitley ji, to kindly deliver his keynote address.
Justice Mukul Mudgal, Shri Julka, the Secretary of the Department of INB, Shri Mathur, the Additional Secretary, Shri Singh, the Joint Secretary, Sumit Tandon, and friends. I, of course, in the last few months, with my additional responsibility, have had several occasions to speak on this subject. So some of my views may be repetitive for those who have heard me speak on this subject earlier. The media unquestionably has a very important and a powerful role to play. The role is somewhat evolving. Instead of being an informant, the situation seems to have changed where it's also partly becoming a participant who lays down the agenda. Now, this is a changed role. Whether it's good or bad, I don't think I'm in a position to make a judgment on this. And there are several reasons I analyze for this. The first reason, I believed in the last 1 decade, the definition of the word news has changed. News is today what camera can capture. What camera can't capture is virtually redundant. And that is why a policeman throwing a stone, as Justice Mudgal mentioned, is something which a camera can capture. And therefore, that instantaneously becomes the news. And if you look at conventional media also, the policeman throwing a stone or some singer having made an outlandish tweet found greater billing on Indian media than the results of the British election. So the balance seems to have been somewhat offset, because these were events which took place on the same day, and the priorities therefore keep changing. Now, the impact of the camera was first felt in the print media. And the print media was slightly lost as to what to do in a situation where people for the last 24 hours have been watching the news on television. And therefore, can you report the same news in next day's newspaper? So the print media also got busy reinventing itself. And most stories, instead of being informative, was to analyze what is behind the news. So that's a gradual shift in the print media which has taken place. And now, of course, we are in the initial years of the digital media, which is going to be faster, more instantaneous. Between electronic media and digital media, they've already moved towards the decline, if not death, of magazine journalism, of tabloid journalism, because they are filling up the gap or the void which is necessarily going to be created thereof. And these are what the Secretary just now mentioned, the impact of technology itself. I think the second important impact for this is, and that's a real challenge, the absence of an adequate financial model. What is the financial model behind the digital media? It's still struggling to find one. Between electronic media, the obvious aberration in the electronic media is that the cost of distribution is more than the cost of content. And therefore, cost of distribution being so high, there is an obvious compromise on the cost of content, because the width of the advertising and the quantum of advertising available is almost static or maybe growing marginally. And therefore, this cost of content being compromised with leads again to two important challenges. One is, in the battle of eyeballs, you now have to compete. And if you are to compete, depending on what's the priority of a channel, the desire to be watched more is based on the desire to create the hype. And hype can get created by controversies, it can get created by celebrities, it can get created by campaigns, it can get created by important crime events being highlighted, it can get created from cinema to cricket. And therefore, these are all areas where controversies help to create that necessary hype which helps you in the eyeballs. And this necessarily leads to shrillness. Now, in a shrill debate, the other side of the picture is normally not known. And if the epidemic of shrillness spreads, then channel across channel you'll find only one viewpoint. Now, if there is an alternative, legitimate alternative viewpoint, how do you fill in the gap for that? For instance, there are a number of public issues currently being debated where I am choosing not to express myself because I find I am not adequately informed, because I only know one side of the picture. Because I have only watched shrill campaigns. And it's only when the shrillness dilutes a little that I'll probably have a space for another viewpoint being expressed. The second important challenge in the absence of a financial model is that whereas some who have, and I'm sure a very large number of them do have this, a proper, adequate ethical base or priorities, will maintain that ethics. The others will start compromising with it. And that is how the whole institution of paid news really has been has emerged. And in a paid news scenario, particularly during elections and so on, it seemed to be highly prevalent. Now, is there a way we can check it? Is there a way Broadcasting Complaints Council can check it? I have my very serious doubts. I've always wondered on a sidelight. Justice Mudgal is here, so I'll take the benefit of his presence. Originally, the concept of news was that news is a part of and an integral part of free speech, which is constitutionally protected. A decade and a half ago, the Supreme Court, in a judgment which I thought it followed the American precedent and ignored earlier Indian precedents, decided that commercial speech is also free speech. So those who market paid news might find this interpretation of the Supreme Court coming to their aid. If the Broadcasting Complaints Council were to proceed against paid news, because that is commercial speech or commercial free speech. They said it in the context of advertising, but it's obviously the Yellow Pages case. It obviously extends to this principle. And therefore, these are going to be the challenges. But at the end of the day, the Secretary mentioned that the content is the king. I think the viewer or the reader is the king. And therefore, he has an option. Today, he is groping in the dark. He has a remote in his hand, he has his smartphone in his hand, and he's trying to dissect various versions of news to find out which is the closest to reality. And therefore, once he decides that this is the channel or this is the site or this is the newspaper where I get more objectivity, it is only then that he starts believing and relying on that. And I think that struggle to find out unadulterated news as distinct from campaign news or as distinct from that struggle is on. At the end of the day, I think in this entire width of the media having ended, it's a good sign, there's nothing wrong in it. There may be an opportunity for the conventionalists to hit, because that reader or viewer who's the king and who's today struggling to find out at least factually what are the correct versions or what are the different events taking place in the world and what is a possible interpretation of that. Once he realizes that that is available on a particular source, then his preference for that source is bound to increase. And I have not the least doubt that the space for that conventional news is again going to emerge, rather than what I always refer to as anchor-driven news or an event which entirely rotates around one or two news events. That space is going to be there. But at the end of the day, I think the great thing about our media world is that we enjoy it. I personally enjoy it. There may be different versions, there may be different extremes. You have the same 20 people on 20 different channels pontificating their views every evening. So there is a space for us to turn over and find out if there is a new face saying something different from the conventional ones each evening. And you can also resort to some serious reading, which is now also available, particularly on the net it is available, on the newspapers it is available. And I have, in a daily schedule, also found that the mornings are a little more restrained and sober. It's only towards the evening that the mood slightly heats up and the campaigns begin to build up. But overall, there is a space for everyone to watch. Now, what does a university do? I'm glad the Indian Institute of Mass Communication has organized this discussion that you need a university. I think you do, because the universe of media is so large that you'll need trained people getting into it. You'll need people trained in various forms of reporting in various languages. The width is going to increase. Our population is very large. Our viewership is very large. Our target audiences could be different. They could be the Indians living outside India. They could be people of different regional groups. They could be people in the farm sector and various groups. And therefore, you need to train people for this. But then the best training from the journalist always comes when he's on his feet. And therefore, when he's on his feet, either he remains grounded completely and sticks to his kind of reporting and comments, or he gets swayed with the wind. That some people are overtaking him, therefore he has to outbeat them. And that's a training I'm sure no university can probably provide to him. That's a training which he's going to get while he's on his feet actually reporting events. I'm quite sure that the discussion today will bring various facets of the media world into focus, and probably the need for more structured training before you enter the field will also be discussed. I wish your seminar today a great success.
Thank you, sir. May I request Mr. Mihir Kumar Singh, Joint Secretary in the Ministry, to propose a vote of thanks.
On behalf of the Ministry, I express my deep gratitude to Honorable Shri Arun Jaitley, Minister for Information and Broadcasting, for inaugurating the workshop, as well as for his erudite and witty speech on all aspects of the communication sector. I am thankful to Honorable Justice Mukul Mudgal for gracing the occasion and expressing his views on the subject. Without the constant guidance and meticulous supervision of Secretary INB, Shri Bimal Julka, it would not have been possible to organize this event, which is the fifth feather in the cap of Information Wing in this calendar year. Lastly, I wish to thank all senior officials, all media persons covering this event, and learned participants of the seminar for attending this event, and wish DGIMC best of luck for its grand success. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Singh. We will have a tea coffee break after this.